Objectification part 2. Let's get into it. So, apologies for this being late. As I went along and just more things just started taking up my time, I realized that if I didn't make this video, if I didn't just finish this out, that it would never be finished. So yeah, let's get started. As I stated in my last video, the one about objectification, as humans, we all objectify each other. And that includes mainstream white feminists. That's right. And how do they do this? With the continued attempts to appropriate celebrity women of color via the constant and the downright ignorant criticisms of them, such as with in the case of Michelle Obama and Beyoncé. So, when Michelle Obama stated that her main priority was to be mommy in chief to her daughters, a lot of feminists freaking flipped their shit and showed just how ignorant of black women's experiences and lives they really are. And it shows to me that for all the talk and want of women having agency to do whatever they choose to do with their lives, when a woman exercises her agency in a way that some people don't approve of, and if it doesn't fall in line with a certain perspective, I guess the whatever perspective that's supposed to be the standard perspective for feminist theory or whatever, that woman gets constantly criticized and judged for her choices. And when people engage in that in my eyes makes the person no better than those who perpetuate patriarchy and sexism. Choice feminism isn't destroying feminism. It's the feminists who judge all those who don't fall in line with the more problematic aspects of feminist theory that's destroying feminism. It's feminists who don't take into account that black women have always had to work to support their families, and how our credentials for motherhood have always been called into question. That's destroying feminism. Okay? So let's just get that shit straight. And then there's Beyoncé, dubbed the princess of the patriarchy by some feminist critics. Now, granted, in her earlier works, with Destiny's Child, and then when she went solo, she's expressed some questionable things while simultaneously putting out things like independent women and all of that. But then again, like in the case of with the First Lady, she's never expressed identifying as a feminist. So I'm just curious as to why is there such a big push right now to appropriate her into the movement and just nitpick at every little thing she does. From watching her documentary that was on HBO recently, Life is But a Dream, it's obvious that Beyoncé cares about gender equality and how women are treated. So for me, I identify as a feminist, and that right there is enough for me to consider her an ally. But I guess for mainstream white feminism, that's not even close. And after releasing to the press that she was going on tour this year, there were some feminists who were up in arms about the name of the tour, the Mrs. Carter Show. In one article, which I'll link it down below. I'll link all the articles that I'm referencing with this issue in the lower bar below. One woman, she really took offense to Beyoncé using her married last name in place of just going by Beyoncé or just going by her original last name of Knowles, saying that, oh, well, she could have just went by Beyoncé, or she could have just went by she could have used her last name. Why did she have to go and use her husband's last name? Never mind that, like, if we're gonna really go there, number one, most of us get our last names from our dads. So strike one there. And two, Beyonce's husband, Jay-Z, Sean Carter, he officially had his name changed to Sean Knowles Carter, just like his wife, Beyonce Knowles Carter. So, reaching too far, methinks. And also, last thing, some feminists were a bit peeved off when Beyonce sat down with Oprah and talked about her life and her relationship with her husband, and that, they were upset with her that she was giving, all this credit to who she is as a person and her whatever. She's giving all this credit to her husband. And meanwhile, during her acceptance speech at the Oscars back in February, Anne Hathaway did the same exact thing. But strangely enough, there was no article on Jezebel complaining about that. Interesting, is it not? And now I think we can sort of get to the crux of some of the issues that I have with feminism as it stands currently. We have these mainstream people out on the forefront who they set the standard that every woman, whether they identify as a feminist or not, is expected to fall in line with. And if they don't, people get angry and judgmental about it. You judge women who don't swear by the, we can have it all, mem, without taking important factors into consideration, like ethnicity and class. It's easier for middle class women to aspire to having it all, but what about your working class counterparts? And what about your non-white working class counterparts who don't have access to the same resources? What about the women whose goals aren't to have it all, or whose definition of having it all differs from what's been put out there as the standard all these years? And another thing, the feminism, the movement as it stands today, mainstream white feminism, it tries to get celebrities to sign on with the movement, but they're so worried about getting celebrities in and co-signing the movement, yet they ignore the men and the women who bust their asses on the grassroots level every damn day. I mean, what the shit is up with that, And bottom line, a lot of us are sick of this fucking trickle down, sans intersectionality, ass backwards brand of feminism that we've got going on. And this shit has to start evolving, or else feminism really is gonna die. And some of you will have nobody else to blame but yourselves.